listening to Traumedy, the podcast that helps you cope with trauma using comedy. It is not a replacement for trauma therapy, but it will help you get by between sessions. It's Nancy Norton. I am a comedian, a former nurse, studying therapeutic humor with the Association of Applied and Therapeutic Humor. You can go to their website at aath.org. They have a research library of all kinds of articles that I've been reading about humor and how it helps us. They have a conference coming up in Denver, April 4th through the 7th. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll put a link to aath.org. Oh, go to Linktree/Nancy Norton and find shows for Nurses Off the Charts. Let's see where we're going to be. We're going to have a lot of shows in Colorado, all around the Front Range, Boulder, Colorado Springs, Longmont. And then we're going to go down to Dallas in May. We have some other dates coming up on the West Coast near the Seattle area in the summer. So let me know where you want to hear Nurses Off the Charts, and I'll put on a show. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy this episode of Traumedy. Welcome to Traumedy. My guest this week is an amazing comedian, one of my favorites. He's been on The Tonight Show. He's all over the world. He's a global comedian. Welcome, Phil Palisoul.
Yeah, see, this was a clap button. Yeah, that's right.
Hit it. Let's try to guess which one it is. No, I dare you to hit one of those buttons.
No, I didn't get the right one.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, well, that's the story of my life right there. Yeah, you pressed the wrong button right out of the gate. Yeah. Corner one crash, first lap.
You know, it's to keep us humble.
Well, boy, isn't that true?
I mean, because you have accomplished something that was my life's dream, Phil. Since I was 4 years old, I wanted to be on The Tonight Show, and I never made it. Oh. So I want to say congratulations. It was I remember it. We all gathered, all the Denver comics gathered to watch our friend Phil Palisoul on the big screen at a bar be on The Tonight Show.
Yeah, you know what? I wish I had the awareness to know that was happening at the same time that I was worked up and twisted up about doing it.
Yeah.
Behind the curtain, and all of the you know well, all of the quiet Niagara that goes on inside as you prepare for something like that. You forget about the support and all of the help that got you there.
I just want to be with. I love your poetic phrasing. The quiet Niagara, is that what you just?
Yeah.
Where do you get these? Where do you get these? You've always had this gift for beautiful, what is that, flowery, poetic language, always. And I'm like, what? The quiet Niagara.
Well, I did not grow up verbal. I grew up visual. And so I think that the connection between what I say, I want you to see what I'm saying kind of thing. And it's somewhat parabolic sometimes.
Oh, man.
It helps to get the point across.
Tell me what parabolic means. I should know this.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but it's a parable. It's like this.
Parabolic,
so
like a parable.
Yeah,
dude.
This like that, and this like that, and this like that. Because I'm trying to get my point across, and maybe I'm not doing it well enough with these words. Maybe if I use these pictures, it'll come across, and that's the genesis of it, I think.
And then you were just saying in the kitchen about getting your mind in a state of para. So I was trying to combine all that. And
maybe, I don't think they're the same. I can see why it'd be confusing. Again, I'm easily confusing people.
Can I just live vicariously through you as you're going on The Tonight Show? And this is back in the day before social media. And,
April
when
9th,
The Tonight Show meant like
1999.
1999, when The Tonight Show had a huge percentage of the market, like people that saw you on there.
Yeah.
It made your career, and it was like, hey, that's a credit, man. Like he's been on The Tonight Show, like that just boom, boom,
Very
boom.
fortunate.
That must have opened a lot of doors for you. Like any gig you get, like, oh, is it Tonight Show comic?
It did help, and I will say a lot of things. It sparks a lot of things, and I appreciate you wanting to talk about it because it was 1999. I mean, it was a while ago, and I did it one time, and I don't think in the end I was meant to do it more than once. I think for my soul and my spirit and the person who wanted to do it as a kid, maybe I should have dreamed of doing it more than once. Maybe that's where I went wrong.
I don't think you went wrong. I love how you
because I wanted to do it again. Immediately, Jay Leno and he said that doing the Tonight Show for your first time is like losing your virginity, that you don't know what you're doing. It's over way too fast, but you want to do it again as soon as you're done. And it was like that. I really, it was an out-of-body experience throughout the entire thing. When I was driving home, I stopped for gas, and then I got home, and I had a vomit episode and I told Nora, I said, I think this is stress, and I think this is pressure. And I mean, I just was a purge. It felt great to get it all out, because the pressure that I put on myself and that it put on my career to do it right was really a lot.
Yeah, you pressure. I witnessed this in you over and over again. Your standards are so high for yourself, and you are such a, well, I'm going to say it, a critic of yourself that I have witnessed. And yet it's like, I want to help you. There's part of me that want to help you celebrate your victories without the caveat afterwards. Yes, I got on the Tonight Show, but only once. Yeah, right. And I'm like, I really want to, I have to watch this too, because I do this to myself as well. Not, with like, what is it in us that can't just stay with that beautiful victory and celebrate?
I don't know. And there's part of it that's personal, I think. Part of it is the way that I was raised by a harpy woman, and part of it was raised with be humble in thy good works, and part of it is just that then you do the next thing, and I can't get all that caught up in what I've done and the gap between what I've got left to do. I wanted to do it again right away, and I never did. And that gap, that was hard. It has been hard on me as a person and as a professional, because I say it like this, and this is one of those metaphors, but if you're a professional bowler and you have an average of 240 and you win even a game in a match with a 230, if you're not thinking about that 240 miss, then you're not going to be a professional bowler very long, really. You won with less than your average. And you do this with a show. You know what it's like to come off stage and think, man, it was okay, but it really wasn't. And if you don't have that, now I don't want to be emotionally hard on myself. I don't want to tear myself up about it. And this is where the, therapy and stuff like that comes in. But I want to be exacting, but I don't want to be demanding and overbearing to my God-given particle that is a gift.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there's so much there. The God-given particle. Hang on a second. When you talk about your God-given particle, please say more about that. And then I want to go back. Then I will go back. I'm putting a bookmark back to the way you were raised by a harpy woman, and it sounds like the word of the Lord.
The God particle, that's the thing that makes you and me, and you get this and I get that. I get to be tall. I inspirata, the thing that makes
I need a thesaurus. I need a research person next to me going, help me, Esperata. What? Your language is so you're sorry. So well, you're no, and this is how intelligent you are, because I learned this from my son's psychologist who tested his IQ, which is high, but it's like and my sister, who's a speech language pathologist, says that there's a very high correlation between vocabulary and IQ. So I'm just witnessing your IQ and mine at the same time, going, well,
but I come from a D student background. I was not a good reader. I'm dyslexic, and I've always felt
that has nothing to do with intelligence,
as I've come to understand, because I've always felt myself to be stupid just because of the grades that I got in school, and I don't have a high school diploma, and come to find out I'm not dumb and I'm not ignorant,
not even close.
Not come to find out, and it took a lot of work to come to grips with the fact that I could be smart. Somebody like me, somebody who was born in the family that I was born, and raised the way that I was raised, could actually be smart, capable, and have ideals and achieve and things like that.
Yeah. Well, here's what I introduced you as a comedian, but as I hear you as a writer. And I just want to validate that in you, because I know there's a book or two or three in you. And we've talked about this before, and I've got to set a lot of bookmarks here because I'm getting lost in the God particle, and then wanted to go back to celebrating our victories and being okay. But where did my ADHD goes all over the place. I have ADHD, dyslexia, and my eyes are on two different levels when I read. So it's like fun times. And I mean, I also grew up with this pain of knowing I was more intelligent than I could demonstrate. And I learned so much from my son because the psychologist told me the same thing about him. He goes, because he's a D. We were high-fiving Ds when he graduated high school. And I mean, it was by the skin of his teeth that he graduated. And we were like, psh, literally like, yes, you're going to pass. But his psychologist said that. He goes, he's highly intelligent, but he can't demonstrate that in school. And that's got to be very frustrating for him. So just extending that to you, like how frustrating, isn't it frustrating? Like when you feel like, especially when you can't read with fluency, when you're going around the classroom and it's your turn to read that paragraph in the social studies book.
Oh, it frames the foundation of the way that you feel about yourself. Of course it does, but I've been fortunate now in the world we're in today. I don't have to read a book. I can listen to a book, and I can listen to Tom Hanks read the book that he wrote. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's much better than the way I'm going to read it and, scratch my head about the words and wonder, wait, who's this guy again? And I mean, he's really engaging. I'm listening to Roald Dahl. I say his name wrong all the time, the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory guy. I'm listening to him read his stories, and it's fast. It's wonderful. But I don't.
We're oral learners.
Yes, absolutely. And story listeners and tellers and things like that. But I don't.
Oh, you are a master storyteller, Phil Palisoul.
But I don't read that way. That's wonderful to be, taught that way. And I also am I take things apart well and put things back together well. I've got that kind of.
You got that mechanical gift.
I can
solve problem solving.
I'm high off the chart with that. This isn't. I don't want to be a boast. This is something that I found out about myself. And if I'm going to be here quietly between you and me to celebrate these things, then that's one of the areas that I've been very fortunate. And
we can thank our God particle for it, right? I mean,
absolutely.
I think there's an interface. This is the way I look at talent, and I don't know. This is just the way I tend to identify it. It's like, how much can I get out of the way and let that, whatever that is, the field, access to the field. I feel like it's strengthening the interface to higher wisdom or access to creativity. If I can strengthen that interface, it's like, that's to me what I define talent as this. How much have you enforced that interface? Does that ring true or anything?
I understand what you're saying. Sure.
And I think for those of us who grew up maybe with the similar, like my mother, boy, I tell you what, if you were having a really bad time, she would lift you up, but you better not go higher than the way she was feeling, or she just needed to let me know you are not all that. You're not all that. And I don't know if you grew up with that kind of energy of, like you said, like, oh God, how dare we celebrate our gifts? Because that's somehow shameful in my culture. Did you have a culture like that in your family?
Not necessarily shame in that way. No. We grew up economically disadvantaged, let's just call it that. And because of that, there was a lot of be happy that you don't have that, so that whatever you did get, was already marginalized because you're weighing it against something that you don't want to have, or we can't celebrate this that much because we really don't have that, whatever the drivers were.
Kind of a survival skill of like, ooh, we better not let our guard down.
Absolutely,
something like that.
Well, and they used to say all the time that every situation is temporary, even the good ones, because they knew. I mean, I knew. I didn't know my parents. Like as they are now. I did not know my dad as a 60-year-old man. Right?
Yeah,
I knew my dad as my dad. I didn't realize that he was conflicted, that he was limited, that he was without friendships and able to expand on the way that he was thinking with somebody that was good counsel. He had none of that. So he's just a one-man echo chamber. But he's my dad making choices for his family. And that sprinkled down sometimes in good ways and sometimes in bad ways. And my mom lived with it as his wife because that was obviously their relationship and dynamic, and she went through a husband that let her down constantly and over and over again and over and over again, and without anywhere to go but these goddamn kids, and it manifests itself over and over again, and all of the needs that they need, and quiet down. I don't want to think about what you need right now because none of my needs are being met.
That's it. That's it. You really recognize that.
And
they were depleted.
Oh my gosh, for sure. And she had no help. The help that she got was demeaning. I told you not to. Why would you if you weren't so stupid? And
did he actually say that?
No. The help that my mom would have been getting from her, from my mom's mom left. She abandoned her. So my mom was raised by her grandmother, and later adopted. So
but with resentment?
Well, you bet. I don't want to raise my goddamn grandkids. I did it.
Oh,
but,
no.
But
so
this lady fled, and so
she was a burden. She got the perception, I'm a burden, and I'm not. And she called her stupid?
Yeah.
That crushes me.
Sure. And gave away her bike when she came home late because the tire was flat. She had to push it home instead of ride it home. They were just hard living people raising, tender, loving children who then get hard-hearted, and I mean I don't begrudge my mom anything in that way. I mean, I wish.
But you saw how that transferred because it was her survival traits get transferred. That's just generational trauma, how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, and she missed out. That's a good point too, because she missed out on that one generation that would have been the buffer between the hard edge, and then your mother being the hard edge, and then you being somewhat softer edge. She got one generation removed.
Yeah, and worse because it was not even probably as loving as, I don't know what her mother got from her mother, but I'm just guessing it was even compounded by the fact that it was like, shouldn't have like, you shouldn't be here.
How would I know? Obviously, but she didn't just leave my mom and her sisters. She left her whole life. She left this woman who was her mother, and she fled it all. So I don't know what sort of help she was getting, but she's willing to abandon the whole ball of wax.
What do you know about that grandmother? Did you ever reconnect with her, or did she just disappear?
No, don't know her at all. No, don't know her at all.
Wow, interesting.
No, and I don't. I know that there's a deep level of hurt for my mom after all of that.
My gosh.
That she's not capable or willing or strong enough or
just
enough love for herself to face it and see it through, and it's been a burden for her. The anguish has been a burden for my mom her whole life. Yeah.
And how did that imprint on you, do you think? Did you get...
in early, I wanted to make her happy.
Oh,
Sure.
You wanted to fix it.
You bet. And again, I don't know if there's a Libra part of me that wants balance and just, no turmoil or something like that. But she was growing up, I just watched anguish on this lady's life and face, and she tried so hard. And she, my mom worked really, really hard. She worked at Samsonite Luggage when it was out by Old Stapleton Airport. And undoubtedly, like many women of the day, she was sexually harassed. She was paid less. She was, abused at work, no doubt. Just either emotionally or whatever, because she's not one of the guys. Who knows? She was a woman in the 70s.
Yeah.
That wasn't that long ago. It seems like a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago that they had to burn their bras and speak up for themselves and
that whole Helen Reddy.
All that, yeah. I am woman, hear me roar. I remember my mom stomping around the house to that. Absolutely.
Yay!
Became an anthem.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love that she celebrated that.
Yeah, me too. I did for her, you bet.
Hey, so where are you in the birth order in your family?
I'm 4th out of 5.
You and I are the same. No, my joke is I'm 4th of 3 that were wanted. Anyway, I'll say it every episode. But 4th, that's interesting because I wonder. I'm going to look this up later about the role of. Somebody told me once the role of the 4th child was sort of looking at the parental relationship, but also I wonder about clown. Are you the family clowns, right?
That's always been true.
Came in to try to,
and I don't know where it would sit in terms of all of that, but there's a 7-year gap between me and my younger sister, and she was an absolute bonus. I don't think my parents saw that coming at all. I think that they'd had their choice, they'd have been done after the 4, because I don't really know. I was a child. I don't know how close my mom and dad were in terms of building their life together after that. It was probably, great, another one, terrific, they...
But you were almost the baby then. If you had 7 years, so you kind of, because they say if there's 6 years, then that's almost like your sister will, is that, you said younger sister is almost going to be like an only child, because if there's 6 years. But so you were the baby for a while.
Yeah.
And then, did you get a lot of that any of that baby in stuff?
I did, yeah. And
jealous.
then and so were my siblings. Growing up, they didn't. I have an older brother. I won't tell you which one it was, but an older brother that put a pillow on my face as a baby because his needs were no longer being met in that same way, because the new baby,
Phil, this is kind of freaking me out.
Yeah.
Because when I did my psychedelic therapy, what came to me was that, and I thought it was my mother, but I still sometimes wonder, was it my older sister? But I had memories of being suffocated intermittently with a pillow in the night for crying. And the way,
That's awful.
Then you sort of fill in the blanks, who knows, but I just imagine my mother was in a postpartum psychosis and maybe sleepwalking, not even knowing what she's doing, who knows. But it awakened in me, and this is where I look at the gift of it, and I know that's maybe bright-siding is something people say is a distorted thinking, but I do like looking at the bright side. I see this pillow with all this beautiful, like, God particles coming around it and strengthening my connection to higher power. I think I had like near-death experiences that actually strengthened my connection, if that makes sense, because I think I went up and down, like, am I still here? And then
So in the midst of that turmoil, you found angelic grace somehow?
I don't know. That part I am making up, I think, but that's what when I am obsessed with near-death experiences, and I feel a kinship with people that have been through near-death experiences. So I'm like, well, maybe that's what happened, because I have this affinity for the light. Even when I was a kid crying myself to sleep, I would look at the hallway light and stretch the star shapes. And that was my friend, the light. That was my friend.
Right.
When I was like so sad, because my parents weren't the kind that read you a book, tucked you in, rubbed your back like I did with my son,
Right.
They just sort of like, go to sleep. And,
Yeah, but it speaks to how much a person needs that, right? I mean, you befriended a light, and you made life out of it.
It was beautiful.
And that to me is the interesting thing, that it was beautiful and not somehow torment or turns you cold and unfeeling. And
isn't that interesting? That. I was just doing a meditation at the Shambhala Center, and she said to go to a place where you felt serene. And I was like, I went there, and I was like, whoa, because it was self-comforting. And I think I felt my heart. Well, so back to so you had a memory of
I only know it. This is interesting too. I only know it because my brother who did it told me.
Oh, that's so helpful.
Thank
you. That's a gift to you.
And explains a lot, because he and I have never gotten along. I never liked being in a room with him from age as I can remember. like that.
Yeah, because you're in a PTSD.
Yeah, and I had, growing up, not even knowing what it was then, but Schadenfreude, that feeling of, I had it for him early on. Early on. And I could never explain why. And this was only revealed to me after my dad passed away and my siblings and I went out for a meal. And that was the first time that we'd all been together without one or both of our parents there. And a lot of things came up and came out. And it was interesting to see how somebody 3 or 4 years older saw the same thing in the family that happened. There was a lot of life grenades that happened for my family, just things that came in, house burned down, and tragedy this or calamity that. My dad would get angry and stomp off a job or something. We'd be evicted from a house, and just all kinds of calamity. But to hear how different my older sister had it, my older brother had it, my older brother, and
everybody has a different relationship with their parents. I know. I'm trying to remember that when I get frustrated that I'm not going to get validation from a sibling about my trauma experience of being suffocated. In fact, I get the opposite of like, mom never did that. And I've only told 2 siblings. I don't think any of them listen to my podcast, so I'm really sure they do not. But so that's so validating for you, because what I got from doing psychedelic therapy and having that memory and I went back and forth, like, did that really happen? The more time that has passed, and it was about a year ago I had that realization, the more everything makes sense. It's like, oh, when I don't feel heard and I feel like I'm about to, I feel like somebody's really trying to hurt me. And they're not. They're just not hearing me for whatever reason. They have it's not about me, but I make it about me, and it throws me into almost a PTSD, like they're the enemy, and I get triggered. But now I know, oh, I'm not going to die. I'm just not being heard.
The brain is a predictive performer, right? It wants to know what's going to happen so that it can prepare for what's going to happen. And if you're guessing that trauma is going to happen, then it's preparing for trauma to happen. And then when trauma happens, it's in a balled up, non-reactive. Oh, I got this. There's a lot of. Again, I'm self-conscious about them now, but the feeling of just shagging flies as a kid. When I was a kid playing baseball, and you just go out and you just shag flies. It would either come to you or it wouldn't. You were either going to catch it or you didn't. There was no judgment of myself. The guy hit it further than I could go. I'm just out here shagging flies. I'm not doing anything. It doesn't matter. There's no grade on it. Just that feeling of handling life like that.
Being in the flow.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way. I mean, even professional athletes talk about being in the flow. And when you talk about, going into that place, that's, just as casual as that. And that's that para.
I was talking about psychedelic therapy that I've done, and then you're reading a book right now, and we'll put a link in the show notes.
It's called Good Chemistry, The Science of Connection from Soul to Psychedelics by Julie Holland, MD. And it's a fascinating book. It really, and she is a woman who is in this field of psychedelic therapy because I'm venturing into this, starting to listen to what she has to say about it, and thinking that, again, the vastness of what we think we know. When we think we know it, we do. We've mapped the genome. Right? I mean, we can look at the scope of we've measured the speed of light, for heaven's sakes. But there's so much that we don't know. The God particle, you'll never figure that out. We can map where I am and who I am and what makes me me, but we can't figure out what makes me and tick and things like that. And that's that God particle that I was talking about. And that the cramming that we do and the boxing in that we do because we're predicting of what we think it might be. The unleashing of that through psychedelics might be an absolute. What I know is that I don't know. It might be an absolute way to do that. Yeah. I don't know. But being able to erase what I have written for myself in negative ways, however that comes. I think is good.
Rewriting some limiting beliefs. Mm-hmm. And what I'm learning that just in my personal experience, like I always say, I have anecdotal evidence of one, but I also cite peer-reviewed studies because I do present these keynotes, the power of humor, why we need it, how it helps us. But I do feel it's one of the gateways to the subconscious as well. But what I've learned and what I have experienced is a bit of neurogenesis, like writing new neuronal pathways. Doesn't mean that I can't decompensate. Like if I have a lack of sleep or some like I lost a gig recently that I thought was a guaranteed thing, and it made me feel very insecure because it was a big payday, and I was like, I felt it, I can decompensate and go back into those old neuronal pathways that say you're a bad person and they don't like you, and I couldn't get him to say what happened. I was like, hey, can you give me a little feedback or insight into what happened? And there was just dead air. And I was like, it must be because I suck.
Oh, that's
I don't know what
hard.
it is.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I do know we can grow new neuronal pathways. I'm humbled by the fact that those old ones are kind of resilient. They kind of, but it's like, how quick can I jump out of those? And how can I recognize that was a lie? That you're not a bad person. Like that. No, I don't believe anyone is born a bad person. I don't believe that. I don't think there is a bad person. I think our authentic self is beautiful. And the lie that we got told, that we have unfortunately reinforced that script, that we're not enough.
Yeah,
we're not good enough, whatever it is. Mine was, I'm not a good I'm a bad person. I'm a burden. I'm a problem. There's something wrong with me. That's kind of my script that I go to.
What a headwind. When you think about it, I mean, that you're able to achieve anything at all in the headwind of that kind of negativity and one step forward, 5 steps back.
Yeah, and that's
one step forward, 9 steps back.
Thank you. And that's why I grade myself on a curve. Even though I didn't get to the Tonight Show, I can be like, that was pretty cool. Some of the stuff that I've been able to accomplish, like kind of combating that core belief, which is only in the last year starting to like feel more and more like a lie. And I want that for everybody.
Yeah.
I want everybody to know their true, authentic self. That is my goal right now. And that's why I like, please love yourself, because it's just like everybody, it'll be amazing. Like when we all love ourselves, the compassion just ripples out.
Well, I will say this about that, having done one and not the other. I've done the Tonight Show, but I've not been compassionate to everybody.
Well, I haven't. I mean, I'm not saying I've accomplished it, but I'm in that moment.
That's the better aim. That's the better aim. That's what I'm getting at. Because I used to think, and this was problematic for me, but I used to think that I wanted to be known by millions, and now I want to be instrumental to a few. And that's a very different place to come from. I'd rather bake a cake for somebody than to have 1 million followers give a shit what pair of pants I'm wearing that day or something like that. And to get caught up in that world as if that's the world when it isn't. It's that, because when I do that cake, when I bake the cake or I do the thing or whatever that is, ironing, it sets my brain in a comfortable position. It sets my brain in a nice hum.
Yeah. Now, is that para?
That's what I believe it is. That's what they're talking about in that book.
Do you recall? Are you able to recount?
I won't have it accurately enough, and I highly recommend the book.
Okay.
But the structure of what she's talking about is that the brain has a frequency that at which it learns best or regenerates or plays at, and we get that not when we're sitting at a desk trying to write jokes, but when we're just walking around and funny hits us, or we're just playing catch, or we're just at play or doing ironing, or just where we're not overthinking things. And that I thought that this was a bad thing. I thought dinner quietly with my wife was a bad thing, and it turns out that's really a good thing, because we don't have to be doing anything. We don't have to be in conversation. And to be able to, just like that, just as you just did, just exhale.
Being present.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And there is like this busyness that I know, a tendency to want to sit at a TV tray and watch a show. Like there's something about, I caught myself doing this in my house. Anyway, my room is like an efficiency apartment where for a while there, I was eating in my room alone because my son was doing his meal with his buddies on Discord or whatever. And I was like watching the evening news, and suddenly it hit me like, I'm ingesting the news. Like I mean, there's the last 2 minutes of CBS Evening News that always has those feel good stories. Now that's what I should be watching a string of if I am going to eat alone and watch something.
Right.
But anyway, it just hit me, and I finally stopped that habit. I was like, stop doing that. Be with the food. Just be here. And if I had, now that my nephew moved in, it's like we're having family dinners again. And it's like, wow, this is so nice to sit around and be present and share a meal.
Yeah. They say if you tape a box on a floor, a cat will step in it and sit in it. And that's the same. We do that. I just paint this. This is how this is. Yeah. Because my job can be very isolating. That cruise ship,
because you're doing, how many weeks a year are you out?
It's between 27 and 30, and that's a lot. And I say all the time, it's a velvet prison, because I have everything that I need and very little of what I want. And it's the food that they cook for you, and you go where they want to go. And if I wanted to watch TV, I can't, or that kind of thing. So it's challenging in that way, but.
What are you learning on the ship that maybe it's almost like being in solitary?
Well, that's as I said, it's a velvet prison, and you're a prisoner in your own house, right? You're again, that taped box on the floor. You're standing in your room, eating your meal, living your life in a phone booth, just in that kind of, and to be able to live or to break free outside of that constraint is a hard thing, because it becomes, again, it's a predictive mechanism. It wants to do what it's most comfortable doing, and if that's just sitting on the couch eating a TV dinner, you'll do more of that, more of that, more of that, and it's hard to dream, right? And especially in the face of having dreams shattered so often, and we come into a place where we're at now in life, and how do you aspire and to be whole, right? I think you don't want to be on the Tonight Show now you want to spread this love and grace and acceptance.
I've kind of come to a place of acceptance with that, because I don't watch The Tonight Show. I don't know a lot about The Tonight Show these days. And really, when Johnny Carson retired, I had just started stand-up. I was starting to tour. I think it was, I want to say 92-ish. No, it was probably a little later. But anyway, whatever it was, I think I'd been touring a couple of years. And when he retired, it sort of like,
I felt the same way.
That was like, I wanted to be on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Like that just felt like somehow that validated me. But I also recognized when we were talking about fame and stuff, I had this thing come to me as like, fame is just that many more people who don't really know me. And like, whoa. I mean,
that's profound. That is really profound.
I mean, what is it? I'm trying to a sense of worth, and then it's like, okay, that's not going to make me more valuable as a person. And I did read a book in the 90s. I call it my self-help 90s, but I read this book called Living in Love with Yourself, and I might put a link to it. I don't even know if it's still out there. I think it was by a man named Ellsworth, but there was a line in there that just sticks with me, and it says, everyone gets 1 unit of self-worth. You cannot add to it. You cannot take away from it. You got 1 unit. No matter what you've done, no matter how horrible thing you've done, great thing you've done, sit on your couch, steal, you still just have 1 unit of self-worth. And I was like, that's very relaxing.
Yeah. What defines that, though? Well,
it's an abstract, just one life. You know, there is no definition other than this is what I took away from it. We could talk about it. How does it land with you? But for me, it just means it's unconditional. It's unconditional worth. It's like we all came here with one life, and it's unconditional.
Yeah.
You have that value no matter what you do. You know.
Everything on the planet has intrinsic value because it's here on purpose. I don't think the universe makes mistakes in that way. I think it's all purposeful, including all of the hardship that has come to me because all of the good things that I have done, because all of the difficult things that have happened to me. I had to pull myself out.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to go to school. I wasn't going to get a scholarship. I wasn't,
And you were like a quarterback. You were.
I was very athletic.
You were a great football player.
I was very athletic, but I didn't grow very big, and I that was not an option to me. And so humor became an outlet. It wasn't just an outlet for my poverty and an outlet for my shame to the degree that I understood shame to be. I had poor kid shame. I didn't really have personal shame. I had to become something. If I was going to make money, I had to become something, and that set into me early on. And comedy was a good saving thing in that way. It saved me in that way. It carried me through a lot of the difficulties, but it was also an avenue because, as you know, I started to see comedy on TV, and then it exploded, and then it became a possible thing. You know,
How did you first know that, or how did you find a way to the first stage that you did, the first mic?
Well, I followed it satellite, because I was married once before, and in that difficult marriage, I would kind of look and see where comedy was being performed and things like that. And then that marriage broke up, and I said, that's the hell with it. I'm just going to pursue comedy.
So you had gone out to see a lot of comedy around Denver?
Well, the Comedy Works. I went down there on the Monday nights for a long time before ever going on.
Oh, how cool! So you saw it. You watched a lot of the new talent nights on the Monday nights.
Yeah.
And then, so you had been a young man in your early 20s?
28 when I got started. Yeah.
Me too. I think I was 27, 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this has been true of it since the first night I did it. I smashed. And I remember walking down the hall. I was talking about this with somebody just the other day. I remember walking down the alley thinking, I'll be on the Tonight Show in no time, probably 6 months. And then the next time I went on stage, I ate it so hard that I didn't go back for months. It hurt so bad.
Yeah, man,
it is. I did not go back for months. I didn't want to face it, and maybe
isn't it the best? Like that brutal. Like looking back on that, you're like, oh man.
And when you talk about being humble, and we were gonna it's a very familiar feeling, even all these years later.
Oh, yes. You never know.
Just when you lose the gig, right?
Yeah.
And it's easy come, easy go in this business, and it's hard to remember that. But
I know. And then I keep picturing, and I'm sorry I interrupted you, but do you have another final thought on that? Well, I just had this, I wanted to share this thing that did come to me during my meditation this week, where it was after that, processing that deflation. And here's what I want to say. I do believe we co-create with the loving universe, and that the universe is listening. And I was actually mad at myself because I didn't feel like quoted high enough for this big, huge national healthcare institution. And I quoted them a fee, which is, I mean, it's a fantastic fee for a keynote. Keynotes, it's like after doing comedy and then you do keynotes, you're just like, they're going to pay me what? That's awesome. And then my keynote friends are like, you should be charging more. You're actually underselling, blah, blah, blah. So what I did was I said something that I was comfortable with. And then they smiled way too big and were like, yeah, let me go talk to the chief nursing officer. And then I was mad at myself. So I was telling the universe, like, I think this sucks. I don't want, like, I was angry that I was not getting more because I've been double daring myself to go to this full fee. Anyway, I do believe the universe, like, oh, you didn't like that?
Really?
You didn't like that?
Really?
Well, then we'll just take that and then let's see how that feels. I was like, because that was like my whole, that I could live on that fee for 2 months. But anyway, I was meditating. And I saw, and this dough was rising, and I see myself like rising and feeling like this sense of security and a little maybe inflated sense of self. And then the universe is like, we are going to make your soul is going to be a nice bread, but we got to punch you down to do it. And I got the message that my higher self is like, we are strengthening and humbling you at the same time. So I think there's some part of my soul mission of to not get an ego, and it's like not going to let me. You're not going to be all that, but you're going to be all that, which is kind of the humble servant that I want to be for my higher power.
Yeah, and let's not for a second lose sight of the things that you have accomplished. I mean, the first woman to win the Boston Comedy Festival, that's quite an achievement.
And barely a woman.
Well,
I cheated. I always look at that going, wait, it's Uncle Nance. That's not, is that a woman? Is that a woman? But yeah, I feel like that is probably how I got away with it, right? Because it's like gender bending.
Even that verbiage, you didn't get away with anything. You didn't steal anything.
No, I worked my ass off. I did. I worked really hard. I did.
And that's high praise and great recognition. I mean, I want you to know that. I mean, there's when you think about I'm in a lot of circles, right, that a lot of people would like to be in.
Yeah.
And it's crowded in that circle. And there's a lot of circles that I'd like to be in, but I can't get anybody out. I'm not able to move.
What does it feel like, a Red Rover circle? Like Red Rover.
Kind of like that way, and you broke through in that way. And that's really commendable. Sure.
I feel like you and I are so alike that we're like, yeah, you're trying to help me celebrate my victories. I'm trying to help you celebrate yours. But we just have that thing in us that's like, yeah. But because something you said earlier, I think it was the bowling analogy with the 240, 250. And I thought almost every time I do stand up, I feel like I got away with it again.
Yeah.
They fell for it.
Right. There's a fun component of that too, because it is what it is. I mean, this is what there's even a point in my show when I tell people I'm at work. This is ridiculous. But they asked Lewis Hamilton, the Formula One driver, who also was a ownership in the Broncos, but they asked him if this is a guy a Formula One driver that drives a car around a circuit over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. If there was such a thing as a perfect lap, and he said no, because there's a corner here or a slide there.
There's always room for improvement.
Always.
Yeah.
And I love that part of the job and the business and the self-expression, but the turmoil of that.
Yeah,
has punished me at times. I can't eat before a show or
still.
Sometimes, yeah, if it's something big or something like that.
Yeah, where there's a little pressure on.
Yeah,
because you've got this craft down to the syllable. I've watched your shows, and it's just so finely tuned. I am more of when I did those, I will say this: when I practiced for those two competitions, I did go to a ton of mics and I did work to be more like you, which was to get it down to the syllable, get the fat out, be tight, but also leave room for personality. And that's always that balance of a canned comedian. But I think what you do really well, and I think what I've learned to do, is to leave a little space in there for you to be present. Even though there's things you've said 1,000 times, but there's a little like nuance in there that might come out just a little bit of energy that might, what do you think? Like bring a little freshness.
I envy that in your approach. I am very exacting, and I am always looking for the perfect lap. And it takes away some of the fun and some of that in the moment share of this gift. It's absurd that this art came out.
Yeah.
And this cake has been made. This thing that was not here before is here now because I thought of it. Mm-hmm. And the fun that we're having is all, the genesis of that was me. Yeah. And the genesis of that was the God particle, because I don't know why I'm funny. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Why?
That's the fun
that.
part.
That
is always with any artist. I think there's always that. Where did this come from? And will the fountain shut off? You know.
I think of it sometimes like my eyesight, that I'm just going to get less and less funny, and my funny is going to get more and more blurry. And to be sure, there's people that I think, man, they're so keen. They're so funny. Matt Berry, a Denver comedian here, is so funny.
Yeah.
Just in himself is so funny.
His essence.
Yeah. And his
well, you're like that too.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because
essence.
I compare myself to him unfavorably, mostly because he's just that funny. He is that good, and it seems to come out of him. He even says on stage sometimes, he used to before he ran television shows successfully, but he would say the funny's coming out of me like sweat, ladies and gentlemen. And it just seemed that simple. It really did. It just seemed like it come out of me.
Well, he's one of your mentors.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
And of course, I hear what you're saying, that you're comparing yourself a little bit still, like, Matt's here, and but
yeah,
but
as you were doing with the Tonight Show thing. I should have been retired by now. In my bullseye dream of the thing that I didn't want to just do the Tonight Show. I wanted to be a retired sitcom TV star and be
sitting pretty on an island.
Yeah. Not Seinfeld, because that's stratospheric, right? That you can't imagine that sort of thing. I wanted to be Bob Newhart, married to somebody like Suzanne Plachette.
Yes.
That was really, oh my gosh.
Me too. I wanted to be Suzanne Plachette, married to Bob Newhart.
I don't blame you.
Let's run away.
Let's. Yeah.
The button-down mind. Oh my God, I love Bob Newhart.
Oh my God. That comedians look for the loophole. That's what he said. Comedians look for the loophole.
Help me understand that better.
That comedians look for the way in which that has an Achilles heel, that situation or the thing that they're trying to make fun of. They see the loophole and then either go through it or whatever, I don't know, exaggerate it or utilize it.
Yeah, exploit that.
Uh-huh.
So, man, there was something you said just a second ago that I wanted to go back to. Oh, the cataract. I was thinking about cataracts. I was thinking about vision, where you did that analogy of like, my comedy's just going to get blurrier. But then, remember this. I mean, I'm excited. I have cataracts right now. Now, and floaters that are so, like, I'm never alone.
Oh.
I'm like, these floaters, I'm always swatting at.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, Nance, remember? Anyway, but my point is, at some point we get to have cataract surgery, and I'm so, like, I've heard it's like everything's so bright and colorful. It's almost like doing mushrooms all the time. Like all of a sudden the light comes back into your eyes because I'm looking through a cloud all the time.
Yeah.
And so with our career, now let's look at this, because you and you're a little younger than me. I'm 63. I'm not going to make you say how old you are, but unless you want to share, it doesn't matter. 60.
Yeah.
We're in our 60s. So, I am thinking, I should be retired soon. And I know I have at least, as God willing, a decade of purpose in this way. I want to know, like, is there, what feels like wants to happen for you? You met such a goal. What year did you do the Tonight? 99?
99.
And then what year did you start stand-up?
89. It was a decade.
So it was a decade.
Yeah.
But that's, you know what? And that's beautiful, because I always tell comedians, it takes a decade to get your stage legs if you're really doing something original.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a hack, you can kill it, within 6 months. And I I always tell them I don't trust that. I want to see you bombing half the time. If I'm mentoring somebody, I want to see them trying something new and tanking it. But you did your work. You accomplished your goal. I mean, you did it. And I get that it created another need for another one, and that feels a little painful or unfinished or something. But do you want to do another Tonight Show now?
Oh, I'd do one in a minute.
Would you? Okay, let's put that out there then.
Yeah, I would do that in a minute. But in terms of work and a career,
yeah,
I as a sort of a journeyman, I thought that this would be, if I got 30 years out of this, if I got 10 years to learn it, and then 10 years to hone it, and then 10 years to earn on the quality that I had created.
Yeah,
and
that's a good
I'm
equation.
in that area.
You're in that earning now, right? You're making a good living.
And I'm off of something that I've worked really, really hard and drove a long ways to do shows, and then Taco Bell in underpants, crying alone and things like that. all of it. And then to now. And then
Taco Bell and underpants.
Yeah.
Hang on.
What am I doing this?
Let's be with that for a little bit.
Yeah.
So you're sitting in probably a Motel 6.
In Wyoming.
You're in a little crappy motel.
Yep.
You got your Taco Bell. You're in your underpants, and you're like, I'm living my dreams.
Yeah,
I love
sure.
that. I've done it. I'm with you.
Because this is something that I have said to myself,
and
this has serviced me, and it's something that I talk about in my thing. But when short looks hard, look long, and if long looks hard, look short.
Okay.
And those days, the short was awful. I couldn't look at the short. This is awful. I had to look at the long all the time.
Yeah.
And I did that with my marathon training too. I don't want to run today, but if I don't do today, then that day won't happen. And so I'll just focus on today. And then I would think, well, how in the world am I ever going to run a marathon in Paris? Who am I kidding?
Yeah,
but if I just run today. I don't have to figure that part out.
That is a beautiful message it's okay to plan for tomorrow. We don't want to live there.
Right.
But it's okay to acknowledge it exists. Like, here's my goal.
Right.
With marathon training, I don't know about you, but mine was like a 3-month program.
Mine was 4, yeah.
And it's like, that's doable. I always feel like I can do anything for 90 days. And that marathon training is applicable to everything in life.
I think too.
Do you find it helpful to you?
Well, yeah, and I.
So what's your marathon? What's your? Oh, sorry, I'm interrupting.
Well, I had an app that told me what to do,
and you just
I only did that.
Follow this, and you will accomplish your goal.
Life would be if you had that on every situation. If you had, just do this today. That's all you got to do is today.
What if we could build? What if we could? It's so cool you're saying this, because I put this out on Facebook recently that I need an assistant, and I do. And a friend of mine said, I can help build you a dashboard. And I was like, ooh, can I have a personal?
Wouldn't that be something?
Well, I think it can happen. And I think we could each have our personal dashboard. And especially those of us with ADHD who, like my son is teaching me, like, Mom, everything hits me at the same priority and it's overwhelming. And so he does avoidant stuff where he's gaming, or he loves work. He's been shoveling this snow. And I mean, he loves a hard day's work. He just, like you said, it gets him in the zone and he feels accomplishment. But what I'm asking is, what if we built an app for each other, right? Like, what if we sat here, look, we got pen. Like, if we took a paper, like, what is it? What's your marathon that we could work backward from? Is there something I can help put out in the loving universe? I'm really big on manifesting.
When you talk about speaking engagements, that's something that I would really like to do.
I see you doing that. I have seen you doing that since I can't tell you. You are a motivational speaker.
You've always been very kind about that.
I'm taking your order like I'm at a restaurant. Now, so what else would you like, sir? A motivational speaking?
Well,
I
don't know
down?
if it would be that necessarily, but just speaking engagements.
You're not sure it's motivational? Question mark?
Yeah, well, it could be. I mean, if
I feel
that's
like
something that you think I'm good at, then
I know you're good at it. It's okay if I get cocky. I know that Socrates says a wise man knows that I do not know, but sometimes you know stuff.
Yeah.
I do feel like I know this about you, because when I've gone through the hardest things in my life, I remember you have this way of saying things, like in your parabolic way. I remember, like, when I broke up with that sociopath, when I finally got free, and you're like, well, you found the tumor, you took it out. And that was, it was so tight, and it was just so like, you got it, I got it, and you relieved me of something, because I was just, that was like a cancer, to be in that trauma bond with that person. And then there was another thing you said one time. about helping each other. You were helping me with something. I was thanking you. And you're like, yeah, we got to be like a barrel of monkeys. One arm up, one arm down.
Yeah.
He goes, I can't stand these monkeys. Two arms up and kicking the shit out of the people underneath.
Yeah.
I love, you have these things over and over that just come out of you. Like you have that, whatever that God particle is like, here, just handing you these beautiful poetic pearls of wisdom and funny, like, and the imagery. The monkey.
I wanted to, and
barrel of monkey,
humor
two arms
is a
up.
social lubricant. Humor is a social lubricant. So if it's funny, then I can get my point across. People find it more palatable. And if it's a picture, then maybe they'll figure it out, right? But the underlying issue, and this comes from my family, we didn't turn on each other. The difficulties didn't make us hard to one another, and I don't
great.
want to see my friend struggle. I don't want
that Schadenfreude. How do you say it?
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude. But you want it for a time. You wanted to see it with your brother, but now you've resolved that. You no longer.
Yeah.
There's still sometimes I like to see, and this is where I still know I need to grow. Because when I'm in my higher self place, I can actually send love to my political nightmare. I'm not going to name any names.
Yeah.
But then I can also, there's a thing that I love watching on YouTube where people get held accountable for their shitty behavior. Mm-hmm. Like that glitter bomb guy. Mm-hmm. You ever watch the glitter bomb?
Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah.
So is that Schadenfreude, the glitter bomb guy? I love watching people steal a porch pirate thing and then get like fart smells and glitter covering.
Again, I don't know if that's a classic definition of it, but it's hard to watch somebody get what you want. Right. If I do the Tonight Show and you didn't, or you do the whatever, it's hard to watch somebody do something you want or get something you want, but it's fun to see somebody get their comeuppance. And when somebody steals somebody else's package and that package turns out to be a glitter bomb, that just makes you feel good inside because the wrong has been righted. And in living in a balanced world, now if it's funny, okay, again, it makes it palatable. If it stinks for you, fine. I hope it does. But that's part of it. But I want the...
Oh, my neighbor's got a new puppy. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine.
And that's what we get for having brand new, better microphones.
Well, no,
she's adorable.
Yeah.
Her name is Leo, but she is brand new. So they're training her to be alone, apparently, on their back deck. Wow. Sorry I interrupted you because I got distracted. My ADHD, I'm like, I can hear you, but I just have to acknowledge this dog is barking. She's a darling little puppy saying,
I'm fine with it.
Come get me. I hear you saying, sometimes it's hard to see somebody get what you want. Sometimes it's not. Like to see somebody that deserves it, somebody you like, somebody earned it. I didn't have that feeling when you're on the Tonight Show. I felt inspired. But sometimes it hits you different. Sometimes I can celebrate them. It maybe depends on how you're doing that day.
45 golfers a week try for a trophy, and then one guy gets it. Yeah. And I'm lucky that I came from a place where there was support when I did it.
Yeah.
And I wish that as I said, I wish that I had been more aware of that support. I was happy when John did Late. I was happy when
John
Chris did.
Novosad.
Yes, I was happy when Chris did it. I loved that you won the competition. I think it's great to be in a community that is supportive. Yeah. But having said that, my wife when Comedy on the Road came through Denver, she got that before I did, and I was thrilled for her. I wanted her to have it. Yeah. But I wanted it. Yeah. I wanted to do it. And it was hard in that way, and it was a bristle between the two of us for the month that she prepared.
Yeah, that's got to be tough.
It was
That's
hard.
Got to be tough. Yeah.
It was hard.
I know it's getting time to, for closure here because the hour goes so quickly.
I know. We didn't really talk much about trauma. I didn't want to just come
We
up
have
here
no
and
agenda.
Well, I
just want to acknowledge that we did actually talk about some stuff. And then going forward, though, what I wanted to do is thank you. First of all, I just really want to thank you because you and Nora, when I came to Denver, and I acknowledged this on stage the other night.
Yes, you did.
But you
graciously.
did. Because, where you start off, when I start off in Hawaii at this Honolulu Comedy Club, and I was the house MC for 3 years. And I just would do stuff, like, you forgot to mention the T-shirts, you forgot to mention the parking validation. And I was just like, I had worked on a few bits, having worked as a nurse, and you guys were so nice to me. Like, you were just patting me on the back, like, who's doing Recess Annie jokes? And I hadn't been celebrated as a comedian. And then I had toured around to Minneapolis, San Francisco, and I did feel like I loved those towns, the vibe of the comedy there. But here I just ooh. And then I love seeing, all the crew from that day.
Yeah.
You know, all of our, but Roger Rittenhouse, Matt Berry, Lewis Johnson, Troy Baxley, all you guys, George McClure. I mean, just brilliant. And I thought, man, this town has got smart,
Todd
funny.
Jordan
Todd Jordan. Oh my God, Todd Jordan. Well, he's like off the charts. And then
that's a 300 bowler. You're talking. He's a 300 bowler.
If I could pair myself to him, I would never do comedy. So I can't. I'm just like, I probably walled him out because it's like, Todd Jordan. Genius. And yes, he's, I think Nora says this. She's like, most people, if we hang out together and we come up with a premise, we'll each come up with a couple of punchlines. Todd will have 17.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but we don't need to compare ourselves to the genius of Todd Jordan.
No, but you invariably do, because the business requires that, because you see somebody do something that you wanted to do. Why did he do that? I guess it's because he's better. And it's not fair. It's not fair to me and again, the God particle, the gift that I've been giving. I don't need to grade it. I need to just expand it and let it out. I don't need to grade it and beautiful. Economize it in some way, that it did this for me or didn't do this for me. I get to have it every single day, and that's the gift.
Yes, thank you. That God particle is amazing. And then just that unconditional acceptance and because if we do what I did with that gig, going, I should have gotten another $2,500 for that speaking gig, and the universe was whisked the whole thing away. I mean, the universe being the chief nursing officer. But I'm just saying,
in the form of the universe.
But you're helping me see something. I'm having this teeny epiphany about wow, when I insult, I'm insulting my higher power when I'm insulting my gifts, and comparing them never leads, whether you're up or down, never leads to a good feeling. We know this. Comparitis, I call it. Yeah. We don't need it.
No.
But in closing, and you have been amazing, and please come back, because
you have my hour flew by.
It did.
Yeah.
And I want to have you back sooner than later.
I'll come back whenever I can. You know that. I enjoyed time with you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for letting me in the space.
On your app, I'm making you an app
for my dashboard.
Yeah. I'm just putting little I like to put boxes. Do you do boxes or circles for check marks?
I'm a circle guy.
Okay,
it's easier to color in a circle than it is a square.
Do you color it in?
Oh, and I have to. It's easier to stay within the lines.
Sort of like the tests we used to do in high school.
Yep.
So are they elliptical or are they oval? Are they circular?
I prefer circular, because it's just easy to get the pencil going and get it going and get it going and spiral it out.
All right.
Yeah.
We're gonna make the steps.
Okay.
The next time we get together, we're just gonna do this. We're gonna have the steps to being a motivational speaker and a keynote speaker, because clearly you've acquired a lot of wisdom and a lot of parables to share with people that'll help them honor themselves and be on their authentic path,
Well, I
it's for
hope
the highest good
that I have
you
done that for this afternoon. I'll say this on all of the giving, and it's gracious that you say that. But the bottom line, I guess, for me is I know what it feels like to lack, and to be able to provide that.
I'm just taking that in. That's who you want to be for people.
Sure.
You want to be the guy.
Yeah.
Almost like I'm feeling you rub my back, almost like erasing those wounds.
Well,
those kind of knives in my back,
sure.
Let's just toss that out and heal it a little bit.
Maybe sometimes it's a check or a tab. To be able to provide for somebody that needs just feels good.
Yeah, it does feel good. Thank you, Phil. Phil Palisoul. We'll put links in the show notes so you can go see his comedy and catch him wherever you can. Love you, Phil.
This was fun.
Thank you. I want to thank my guest, Phil Palisoul. Thank you so much. What a wonderful episode. Once again, Traumedy keeps healing me. I hope it's healing you. And I want to thank my son, Nathaniel Norton, for putting the music loops together for Traumedy. I want to thank you, the listeners, who become my guests. That's the best part. And I want to say, I have these shows called Nurses Off the Charts. Nurses Off the Charts. It's an amazing time out for nurses, healthcare workers, patients, anybody who has a healthcare story that wants to share a funny or outrageous or something that you just like, you know what? I can't be alone with this. I'm not the only one seeing this. Vicarious trauma is a real thing. Get it out of your body And especially if you can make light of it, find humor in it. One of the most empowering things we do is to find something to laugh about around our trauma. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing here on Traumedy. It's every Tuesday, Traumedy Tuesdays, here on Spotify. And I don't know where this is. Where are we? Does anybody know where we are? We're Apple, I don't know, wherever podcasts are. I don't know. I just do it. I upload it and leave it. That's all I know to do. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns, answers. I always love answers. And remember, no matter what, keep laughing.